Oh no. What's going on? Why is that red light staying on? Oh man, not again. Another red light. Have to get this checked out immediately. Parking brake down. Still not going off. Oh. I really hope you'd take the same decision as myself, not to even dream of taking the car out. Well, hello everyone, welcome to a new video. So we'll continue our discussion on the instrument cluster lights. Today we'll be discussing the brake warning lights. Brakes. Brakes and brakes. An extremely important part of the motor vehicle that is often overlooked. On this 98 Toyota Avances, here's how the brake warning light looks. On other vehicles, you could have variations. For example, on a Mitsubishi, you have it simply written as brake, as you can see. The best way to find out what the symbol is for your particular vehicle is to consult your owner's manual. That way you get accurate first-hand information. On this car, we have a single brake warning light that works for both the parking brake and the main brake system on the vehicle. This implies that if the light stays on, there could be a problem with either the parking brake or the main brake system, or both. On modern vehicles, two kinds of brakes can be found: the foot operated brake and the parking or emergency brake. On more recent vehicles, the manual parking or emergency brake has been replaced with a button or a lever, which is essentially electronically operated. In order to facilitate an understanding of what the brake warning light means, it's important to go over how the basic brake system works on a car. When the driver of the vehicle pushes on the brake pedal, which is this one, a rod directly attached to the pedal pushes directly into the firewall. Attached to the firewall is a brake booster. That's it right there. The function of the brake booster is to amplify the force the driver exerts on the pedal, because it takes a lot of force to slow a fast moving vehicle down. The average person isn't strong enough for that. Then the rod passes through the booster, the force gets amplified, and then there we have the master cylinder reservoir. That's what holds the hydraulic fluid or brake fluid in this case. Below the master cylinder reservoir, we have the master cylinder itself. That same rod coming directly from the pedal pushes on a piston located inside the master cylinder. Once that's done, fluid gets pushed into the various attached pipes to the master cylinder, and depending on the vehicle, the fluid either goes directly to the wheels or to an ABS or stability control system controller, as the case may be. Here we are at the wheel. Obviously the tire has been taken off. So like I earlier mentioned, we have brake lines or pipes that come out to each wheel. That's a hard brake line. And then we have a flexible hose portion that allows for up and down movements by the suspension based on the road conditions. So the flexible lines are to prevent it from breaking. And then we have the caliper itself. We have a piston that gets pushed out as the brake fluid gets pushed towards the caliper. So as the caliper piston gets pushed out, it pushes against the brake pads, which are sandwiching the brake rotors, and that's how the vehicle slows or comes to a complete halt. The brake rotors are obviously attached directly to the wheels and spin as the wheels also spin. There are two kinds of brake systems that can be found on most vehicles. This is the disc brake system. Obviously, we can see a disc. On this car, we also have the other kind of system. Here we have a brake drum system. So here it is. So that's with the brake drum taken off. We have some brake shoes or linings. We also have a slave cylinder. So brake fluid gets all the way from the front, gets pushed through those lines and makes its way through the flexible hose like we found up front. We have a hard line here again, which gets directed to the back and goes into the slave cylinder. Once the fluid gets pushed into the slave cylinder, there are some pistons that get pushed out on the sides. As they get pushed out, the brake shoes get pushed outwards and make contact with the inner portion of the brake drum, and that's how the drum brake system gets slowed down. Here I'm showing the inner surfaces, the friction surfaces on the brake drum. So once they get pushed out and it makes contact, the wheels would get slowed in the process. The parking brake system in this case is cable operated, so that's the cable right there that I'm showing you. And once it gets pulled, the brake linings get pushed out and make contact with the inner portion of the drum, like I earlier mentioned. So we have the brake shoes or linings, also has a friction material that can wear. Then we have springs, and that's how it looks. The drum brake system is usually found in economic cars. In luxury or high option vehicles, we have the disc brake system on all four wheels. So with that summary out of the way, we're in a better position to tackle the issue, the brake warning light. So what could cause it to stay on while the engine is running? Option one, obviously, we have low brake fluid in the master cylinder reservoir. Actually, there is a sensor attached to the cap in this case, like I'm showing. The black connector right there. It's attached to a level sensor that goes into the master cylinder reservoir. It will trigger the light once the level in the master cylinder reservoir drops below a certain threshold. The second option will be a problem with the parking or emergency brake. A simple scenario could be the driver forgetting to release or disengage the parking brake. The light could also stay on if the parking brake is incompletely disengaged. This option is not quite common because the parking brake system is very simple. The common reason why the brake warning light would stay on is due to a loss of brake fluid in the system. We can have leaks, internal or external. By external, I mean you would have leaks happening outside the system in that one can actually see brake fluid leaking from the vehicle. An internal leak is not easily detectable because you could have a leak at the seal in between the master cylinder and the brake booster. A common way to identify leaks would be a change in pressure of the brake pedal. This is as a result of the way the brake system operates. If you have pressure being lost as a result of a leaking system, the effect will be definitely felt at the brake pedal. If I were to tackle this issue, I would start off by bending and checking the back of each wheel for signs of wetness. Because the brake rotor or the brake drum, in this case, because they are tucked in the wheels, if there's any leak in such a region, one would actually see brake fluid at the back of the affected wheel. Obviously, this takes only a few seconds and will be completed in no time. If wetness is found behind any wheel, such a wheel should be taken out and investigated. Another common area for leaks are the various pipes and hoses that convey brake fluid. On vehicles that are operated in rust prone areas, places where a lot of road salt is used, the brake lines could corrode and actually start leaking hydraulic fluid. This will also cause the brake warning light to come up on the instrument cluster. Another area where leaks can be found are at the caliper pistons. We have rubber seals around the pistons to keep brake fluid in the system. If such rubber seals become leaky, brake fluid could also be lost from the system. Also, the slave cylinder, in this case, in the brake drum system, could get leaky because we have pistons in there. Could also leak out brake fluid from the system through the slave cylinders. Also, a low brake fluid level can be an indicator of low brake pad or brake shoe or lining in the system, because as the brake pads wear down, the caliper piston in this case would have to be pushed out a larger distance in order to carry out the same function. So as long as the brake fluid wasn't topped off, if the brake pads and the brake shoes get totally worn out, the brake fluid in the master cylinder reservoir is definitely going to be low. So if no external leaks are found and the brake fluid in the master cylinder reservoir is low, and the brake pedal also sinks to the floor when it's depressed, the issue is likely with a leaking master cylinder itself. This should be replaced as soon as possible, as this can be a very dangerous situation. Obviously, anything that has to do with the brakes should not be toyed with at all. So what are things that can be done to ensure that the chances of this happening are extremely small? Well, very simple. Ensure that the system gets inspected periodically. Check all the brake lines and hoses to ensure they're in very good condition. Also one should check that the brake pads and the brake linings in this case are in very good condition. Any slight changes in the brake pedal should be investigated immediately and not left till when the brake warning light actually comes on. In addition to that, the brake fluid in the system should be replaced periodically because it absorbs water. And once it has absorbed too much water, it could start corroding the various seals and lead to brake fluid loss. Recently, I started hearing some sounds while braking from the rear of the vehicle, and after investigating it, I found out that the brake lining or shoe material was separating from the backing plate and was causing all the noise. Also, the brake pedal felt quite spongy and the level wasn't consistent. So after getting replaced, all got back to normal. So fellas, if you notice any strange feeling in your brake pedal, get it investigated immediately because you're dealing with the brakes here. Like I always say, if you see a red warning light on your instrument cluster, pull over immediately. So I hope this video has been helpful. If you found it useful, leave me a thumbs up, give me a like, ensure you subscribe if you're yet to subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Happy motoring, everyone. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a nice weekend or week. Bye.